Good evening, lads and lassies. How's everybody today? Sorry I'm late, guys. I went out to get some dinner, and that was... How long ago was that, Jen? Like 2 hours ago? Yeah, about 2 hours. 2 hours ago, the traffic was mental. And then on top of that, people were driving like absolute morons. And on top of that, the restaurant took forever. Which is weird because it wasn't even busy. It was like, what the hell is going on here? So anyway, today we have another monumental flight. Now, usually I wouldn't stream at this time, and I do know now that there is some other creators that have a show on roughly around the same time as me. So I'm not going to stay on here for too long because I have other things to do anyway. I need to finish off a video that should hopefully be coming out tonight if all goes well. But yeah, so we have to get this done, hopefully get to space safely and back down. All going well. That's the plan anyway. So yeah, this flight is a pretty interesting flight. So if you have a look at the oh Jesus. If you have a look at the crew list for the folks who are going to be taking part in this particular flight, it's an interesting one. It is an interesting one. So you have Jeff Bezos and his brother, obviously. Oh, bloody hell! I just lost the page. I had a really good page up that I wanted to show you folks. Oh, bugger! All right, give me 2 secs here. Oh my god! I hate when this happens. This happens every single time, man. Every single time. It only seems to happen when I go live. It's like, oh, you know, everything's great before you start. Then boom, you go live. Good luck. Let's see. I thought I had the page here. I mean, how many fucking times has this happened? Anyway, so the crew consists of Jeff Bezos, his brother Mark, a young lad called Oliver Demon. Well, that's the way I'm pronouncing it, because, yeah, anyway. And Wally Funk. Wally Funk is one of the pioneers of early aeronautics and space flight and stuff like that. She's an amazing person. She's in her 80s. So as of today, she'll be the oldest person to ever go to space, which is pretty cool. I'm just going to bring up the... Where is it? Oh, how did I lose that page? What the hell? I don't know what's going on with my computer, guys. And no, it's not Irish Demon Can Tech this time around. It's literally not my fault, bro. Anyway, so yeah, just have this ready to go here. Sound off for the time being. But yeah, so Wally Funk, she's going to be the oldest person ever to go to space. Not the oldest person who has been in space, obviously, but the oldest person to go to space. And the other passenger, that young guy, Demon, he is the youngest person to ever go to space. So a lot of firsts. It's also the first completely, what would you say, amateur crewed space flight. So it's they're not crew as such. They're passengers, I guess. And because, oh wait, here they come. Here they come. Let's put a hold on that for a minute. Well, as for my glasses, they're just a little bit fogged up.
There you see Jeff Bezos in the foreground, Oliver Damon stepping into the Rivian. Crew member 7, Kevin Sprogue, there on the right. As well as Wally Funk. What a moment for her. At the age of 82, she will become the oldest astronaut to have ever flown into space. And there she is, loading into the Rivian.
Oh yeah, Peck, I saw your comment about the dinner. That's what I was referring to, by the way. We were going to go out and get dinner and then sit down and watch the video, but that never happened.
The program to train women to go to space that ultimately was canceled, but now it is her moment today is an incredible day for her.
I absolutely can't wait to see the Flat Earth reactions to this. I'm guessing it's going to be Level Earth Observer and that other clown, but I look forward to it. I look forward to breaking them down. Hey, dogs, go to bed.
All right, now we're going to be waiting for mission control to get a go for astronaut load out to the pad. That's when the Rivian will start heading out towards the pad. They're actually going to pass right behind me here. I'm certainly going to give them a wave. They then...
That's so cool, man. That car is awesome. The Rivian, it's, for those who aren't aware, it's an electric vehicle, American brand. Kind of looks like a Land Rover / Range Rover kind of thing. Not a Land Rover, yeah, Range Rover, I guess. Like a Discovery, I think, more so. It's pretty cool, though.
What a moment. You can probably hear our team already losing it down here. We are super excited. And there they are.
Unfortunately, Peck, I didn't get a chance to eat any of my dinner. I had like one chicken wing before I started here. But, oh man, I hope you'll be okay tomorrow after the surgery. Let me know how you go.
A moment we've been waiting for here at Blue Origin. So much hard work has led to this moment.
It's a weird looking vehicle. It kind of looks like a Chinese knockoff of a Land Rover.
Wally Funk,
Pretty
the
cool,
Bezos brothers, Oliver Damon, our 4 crew members are heading out to the launch pad. There they go. See you guys. Oh my gosh, they are in for the flight of a lifetime.
Yeah, it's a bit long for a disco, that's right.
And just a couple yards to my left here, that is mission control, and here they go passing by mission control.
My DeLorean, I don't know if my DeLorean's a troll or not, says, insane, people believe this. Yeah, who'd believe that a car exists?
And they're gonna hang a left there as they head down the road to space. Now, while we watch them travel down that road to space, they've got just a couple of moments. It's a long 2-mile road there. We've got a couple of moments. Why don't we meet aviation icon Wally Funk?
You're in zero gravity for 4 minutes. You come back down. We land gently on the desert surface. We open the hatch and you step outside. What's the first thing you say?
I will say, honey, that was the best thing that ever happened to me.
She's lovely.
I've been flying forever, and I have 19,600 flying hours.
Fucking hell.
I have taught over 3,000 people to fly.
That's
private,
awesome, man.
commercial, instrument, flight engineer, airline transport, gliding, everything that the FAA has, I've got the license for. And I can outrun you. Back in the 60s, I was in the Mercury 13 program. They asked me, do you want to be an astronaut? I said, yes. They told me that I had done better and completed the work faster than any of the guys. So I got a hold of NASA 4 times. I said, I want to become an astronaut, but nobody would take me. I didn't think that I would ever get to go up. Nothing has ever gotten in my way. They said, Wally, you're a girl, you can't do that. I said, guess what? Doesn't matter what you are. You can still do it if you want to do it. And I like to do things that nobody has ever done.
She's so awesome, man.
On the very first flight. That's your
Oh, that's epic.
I can't tell people that are watching how fabulous I feel to have been picked by Blue Origin to go on this trip.
What a legend.
You're gonna be an astronaut.
Oh, finally!
What a legend, man. I love that lady.
Every second of it. Woo! Ha-ha! I can hardly wait.
It's crazy to me that a lady in her, a literal octogenarian, has more energy than I do by a long shot. If you guys have ever seen it, there's a show on Apple TV called For All Mankind. It's about returning to the moon and racing the commies, basically racing the commies. That's the way they frame it in the movie, anyway, to the moon. And there's obviously her name's not used, but there's characters in it that are based on her and that whole Mercury 13 program. She's an awesome lady.
Thank you.
You don't know how great it is to meet you, that you are a pilot. I don't want you to go fly more in that glider and jumping.
Oh, well,
that's great.
And hopefully follow in your footsteps and go on New Shepard one day.
Absolutely. Oh,
I mean,
yes.
so Wally, you've waited a while to go to space. A silly question, but are you excited?
No, not at all. Of course. Since I got on the airplane and I got to fly the airplane and get here and meet all of you, this is so fantastic.
What do you, on launch day, what do you think is going to be the most exciting thing? What are you looking forward to the most?
Lift off, climb, undo, and be able to move around in the, if there's room. I want to do a lot of stuff because I've done that in other situations. And
you were just telling me a second ago, you're going to take your camera up there and you've got a postcard that you're going to take a photo with.
That is what's going to be on the window when I go up, and then I'm going to take a picture of it with the Earth behind me.
That's such a beautiful photo of you and the American flag back there in your flight suit, and that's going to be a spectacular photo. So,
I know there's a lot of argument over whether or not they'll be considered astronauts. Of course, this flight will be going past the Kármán line by about 3 or 4 miles, but I think of all the people in the world, she is so deserving of that title. What an amazing lady.
So great. I can't believe it's coming from, I don't know, California.
Right.
And you're lucky to be here with all these friends and the people and see what's going on.
Absolutely. Well, so, Wally, as I said, you've been an inspiration to me. What would you say to the next generation of young people that are out there that want to go to space?
Well, I've talked to young people all my life. How many of you girls and boys want to fly? Well, not many raise their hands. I said, well, I tell you what, get your parents to take you out and give you a flight.
Right.
That's what my parents did at 7 years old. And if you like it, you'll continue on. And if you don't, you might continue on because something's going to be in your heart that's going to want you to do that.
I cannot wait to see you go to space. Thank you for being with us. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you.
Thank you, honey.
She's such a lovely person, man.
So yes, as you just saw, Wally Funk is the real deal. I was doing my best to contain my fangirl
Flat Earthers would try to tell us that she's lying, that sweet old lady.
Is an inspiration to so many people around the world, and myself included. We see here that the astronauts are starting to ascend the crew tower. There's Wally waving. She's leading the crew. Gary, welcome back. It's good to have you back here at the desk to get you to help with the play-by-play here. We just saw a moment ago that they drove around the ring road, stopped, took a photo because, of course, you know, we're memorializing this moment.
That's a good question. Microraptor asks, I'm not sure what they're doing going into space and then landing. Exactly. So this particular rocket goes straight up. The booster, which is the bottom half, will land propulsively. My favorite propulsive landing is the Blue Origin propulsive landing. The capsule with the crew in it will go up to 65 miles. So basically, once the motor cuts off, it'll coast upwards for quite a bit because of the velocity of it. And as it's going upwards, the capsule and the people inside it will be moving at the exact same speed. So essentially, they'll experience weightlessness because they're going straight up. That only happens if you're going straight up in that case. And then when they're coming back down, it'll be much the same. So they'll experience weightlessness again through that effect, basically. So, and then they'll come down and parachutes back down. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Doing our first human launch, and it's just amazing. And the reason I'm excited but also focused is that there's quite a bit of technology transfer from New Shepard to New Glenn. Everything from the BE3 engine with the LOX and the hydrogen all the way down to our landing gear. I mean, this is an exciting day for us, and I'm just excited. I don't want to take the spotlight away. It's about New Shepard And I'm just very proud of this team and then Blue Origin as a whole. I mean, just amazing day, Caitlin.
Well, we like to say that New Shepard is basically the second stage of New Glenn. So you're kind of seeing the second stage fly here today.
Absolutely, absolutely. New Shepard was built and designed for scalability, and we took advantage of it in New Glenn. So it's amazing feat that we're doing, and just proud to be here. Just glad to be here, Caitlin.
So smart. It's the epitome of our step-by-step approach, as you hear us say. Awesome. And I want to pan back.
Peck says landing the boosters is very new. It's amazing we can now. So the concept has been around for a very long time, since the earliest days of rocketry. And they did actually try to do it quite a lot back in the 50s and 60s, but it never really went anywhere because the robotics and the computer systems needed to do it they just weren't up to scratch. But you're absolutely right. The fact that they can do it now is just magnificent. It's an amazing achievement of human engineering. And the beauty is, flat earthers or whatever can tell us all day long that it's fake, it's fake, it's fake. But you can go and see these machines land for themselves. And I would say it's one of the most breathtaking things to see. I would love to see it personally. The interesting thing about Wally as well, to just think about this, right? Wally was born about 20-ish, 30-ish years after aircraft were first kind of built, en masse after World War I. And when she was born, they were still using basic piston engine aircraft that couldn't fly very high or very fast or very far. And now she's about to get on a rocket and go to space. That is amazing in my eyes. What an incredible achievement. OPT Lawyer, good to see you, my friend. Hope you're feeling well today.
Of the BE-3 engine that's flying New Shepard today. And the techniques for vertical landing, which we perfected with the New Shepard vehicle, are going to be applied to the New Glenn vehicle. We have very high confidence that the very first launch of New Glenn will stick that landing on the ship. We would not have that confidence without the New Shepard program.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Jarrett Jones, again, who leads that entire New Glenn program, he has a big job, but he's gotten a lot of help. He's kind of gotten this catapulted help from the development and now the operations and flight of New Shepard.
Frank, good to see you, and Judy. Hope you're doing well.
New Glenn will also carry humans one day. We build all of our programs from the very beginning with the intent to put people on board. And talking about astronauts and people, we just saw them enter into
Commander Dark Light,
the
it does.
astronaut safety shelter.
Sure does.
I would like to highlight one thing, which is, Wally was saying that she could outrun you. She was the first up those stairs and first in the astronaut shelter. So no lie. That Wally Funk, she's got quite a bit of energy. She's 82, but I'm convinced every time I read that it's a typo, that she's actually 28, because again, that woman. All right, Gary, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's happening in the shelter, because we should remind our viewers that on the last flight that we had, we basically did a full-up rehearsal.
I leave them talk away. My mom bakes cakes. Good to see you, my friend says. I wonder what part of this launch will Leo cherry pick and call a pantomime. He'll find as much as he can. Let me have a guess. I'm going to take a wild guess that they'll say them going into the astronaut, this room that they're in right now is actually where they swap them out for animatronic dummies or some such nonsense, guaranteed. And everything's just, what a load of tosh, etc., etc. What do you guys think? Let me know in the side chat what you think he'll try to pick apart as we go along. I'll see what I can find too. OPT Lawyer says, excuse me, today so far is a good day. That's great to hear. A little pain in my shoulder, but that's from the COVID shot I got yesterday. My oncologist said I was good to get the vax even with chemo. Man, that's awesome. I'm so happy for you. And it's great to hear that you're having these really good positive days. And we're all rooting for you all the time anyway. So absolutely delighted to hear that, man. All right, let's see what we're up to here.
Flown in space at the age of 18. He comes to us from the Netherlands. A special shout out to our international viewers, especially those in the Netherlands. Hello, everybody. You should be very proud of your countrymen there. Then we have, of course, Mark Bezos, brother to Jeff Bezos, our founder, in the cowboy hat. He is a true Texan at heart. We call it the ranch down here. We like to incorporate that into a lot of what we do and the spirit that we have down here at our launch site 1.
Well, time to become a space cowboy.
Leaving the
Excuse my
astronaut
dodgy
safety
hair.
shelter here. Let's watch as they prepare to cross the bridge.
Nice. Thanks so much, Peter Collings, for 49 Czech kroner? No, not shorty. Not kroner. Says, hi, Demon. I hope the packing's going well. It's going really well. We're nearly there. Filling up boxes today. Pain in the ass. But thank you so
Mark
much, my friend.
Bezos. Wally Funk. And Oliver Damon. Ring the ceremonial bell. Making some noise on their way to
That's
get
a good
into
question,
the crew
OPT.
capsule.
I'm actually not sure.
Kevin, the crew member 7 that you see there in the black suit, he is now going to help them.
There's 150,000 people watching right now, and excuse my demented hair over here, but there's 153,000 people watching right now on the main channel. So you can imagine all the other channels that are streaming this that people are watching. It's just awesome. It's really awesome.
Do that upside down, backwards.
Oh, Inquisitor Bacon, we might need to make that happen before I go to Texas. That's a great idea.
You definitely understand how that works, and you're going to need to, because when we come back, when you get back into your seat from 0G, that's very important. Let's watch here as they cross the gantry, taking some final photos. We've got our photographer there, Felix Kunz, a brilliant photographer who's taken those beautiful shots of the crew that we saw earlier. And there they go, into the crew capsule. Gary, do you want to talk about the hosing and the piping that you see going into the house?
I'm not going to read that comment out, Ardo, but that's hilarious.
Before we seal the hatch, we want to make sure the air is fresh and air conditioned in there. That hose will be removed, obviously.
If you close your eyes, he kind of sounds like Ray Romano.
Is just one by one entering the cabin and getting fastened, and then they will go through.
It looks like a giant Johnson.
With Capcom.
Fantastic. There's Wally Funk in seat number 3 there. Oliver getting situated in seat number 1. I'm starting to shake a little bit. I mean, not only, again, have we practiced this, and not only on the last flight did we have a full astronaut rehearsal like this, but it's different. We've done, again, 15 consecutive missions to get to this point. But it's so much different when you put people on board. But again, so much testing, so much design, so much thought, and incredibly well-trained Blue Origin team that's supporting these astronauts, our first crew on New Shepard. Just wonderful. We are ready for today. Now, we are standing by here for Capcom to welcome our crew into the capsule. Let's stand by for some audio there. There's our mission control. And Sarah Knights.
That mission control kind of looks like a
Sarah
call center
Knights
I used to work in.
She has this incredible.
I have you loud and clear, 7. How me?
Yeah, it's such a shame, Charlie, that they're able to capitalize off this stuff.
Here comes Kevin. Kevin will help you out. Here it comes, Wally. I can see it's jammed in there. Don't keep pulling on it. Don't come get it.
So again, we've got Capcom Sarah Knight. She's one of our crew member 7 on the left. Our 4 astronauts are loaded into the capsule. There is Wally Funk in her seat, as well as mission control. Talk about locked and loaded. This team is really, I mean, you've been in mission control during these launches. What is that like?
So at this point in the procedure, everybody is incredibly focused. They're true professionals. They are looking at the data, they're following procedures. There's really no distraction. You can hear a pin drop in that room unless they're working an issue. And as you saw in that picture, we run a very, very tight ship here at Blue Origin and on the New Shepard program. That picture of the front room of mission control, that is all
Peter.
the people that are operating the rocket
man.
at this point, in terms of pushing the buttons to make things happen, in addition to the pad crew.
Wouldn't you just love to hear her thoughts on flat earthers? Oh, I can only imagine the kind of reaction that Wally would give. That would be so funny.
No, to your point about crew, Gary, I mean, we talk about designing an autonomous vehicle that launches and lands and reuse, but we've built also the operations to also complement that, to lower the cost of accessing to space, because that's at the heart of building this road to space. So we've built it so that it's an efficient vehicle, efficient operations.
Absolutely. So in addition to that front room, which is really just a half a dozen people and some backups to relieve them in case they need a break, there is an engineering back room right behind that room. It's the size of a small conference room, really, and it consists of engineers that are there just in case there's an anomaly that needs investigation. But you can actually see it through those back windows. That's it.
I'd say she'd have some choice words for them, Inquisitor Bacon. I think she would have some very interesting terminology to use. She's so funny, man.
Architected it that way. So
Look, we got catch. Did you say catch
there
Wally?
she
She
is.
was waving at you, Gary. Oh, and is that? I think that's the postcard that she promised everybody she was going to be bringing up to space with her. So not only is the crew ready, but we got the props ready. We've got the photo shoot all set up.
Props! What a load of tosh!
But getting back to the crew and crew operations that we've set up, as you said, lean and mean, but also, we talked about it earlier, in addition to the safety and critical to safety, are redundant systems. Backup systems, backup to the backup. And, we were talking about the team that we have back in Kent. So that is part of it. It's not just in, let's say the mechanical systems, the engineering that goes into the capsule, but from an
Hey, Arto, I actually did a live stream or a video about it the other day if you want to check it out. It was a lot of fun, but I'm sure there'll be plenty to go on tomorrow. And also, just want to say, excuse the excessive blinking. I've got really bad hay fever at the moment.
The left, that is Mark Bezos, Jeff Bezos' brother. And in fact, to the left of him, a little harder to see off of that other window, that will be Jeff Bezos. And Oliver Damon, on the other side of the hatch, he's also harnessed in, ready to go to space, ready to become the youngest person to have ever flown in space. Again, he comes from the Netherlands. So beautiful. Again, as we talked about at Blue Origin, we really want to open up this experience to the world, and it's so wonderful that he is not just representing the next generation, but also more flags as we fly to space. Standing by here from Capcom.
New Shepard, this is Blue Origin Mission Control. Good morning, astronauts, and welcome aboard the RSS First Step. Let's get things started with the comm check. Astronaut Oliver, how do you read?
Blue Control, SS Oliver, loud and clear.
Copy. Astronaut Wally, how do you read me?
Wally, push the button and answer. Push the button until you can hear good. Oh, boy, that's clear.
Copy, Astronaut Wally.
When you can't tech, you can't tech. It doesn't matter if you're an astronaut.
Demo, I have you loud and clear.
Copy. Astronaut Bezos.
Blue Control Bezos, I read you loud and clear. Thanks for everything, Sarah. We appreciate it.
It's my honor and my pleasure. All right, astronauts, we are at T-minus 21 minutes and counting. As we proceed, I'll keep you updated. For now, just sit back and relax.
Fantastic, and there you heard it. All 4 astronauts are ready to go to space. They just had a quick comms check with Sarah Knights on Capcom, one of our crew member 7 there. You've heard all 4 astronauts are jazzed. Wally there was, I'm sure she's a bit distracted again. We've said this before. She has waited over 60 years from the days that she was part of the Mercury 13 program to go to space. That program.
Serious question, my DeLorean. Are you a Poe or are you serious? So her name is Wally, which is short for Wallace. Her real name is Mary Wallace Funk. Yeah, Wally's short for Wallace, and there's a movie called Wally. Wow.
What a moment, what a woman that that really personifies perseverance and pushing through it. All right, and here we go. We are closing the hatch. Gary, do you want to talk a little about what happens when you close the hatch? Obviously, it's a pressurized vehicle. What does that mean with regards to closing the hatch there?
So the hatch has a double seal on it. There are two sets of seals. So what they're going to do when they close the hatch to make sure it is properly sealed is they're actually going to pull a vacuum in between both of those seals and make sure that vacuum doesn't decay. And that checks the integrity of both seals.
Fantastic. Now, I understand that we've got Caitlin Dietrich again on the ground. We've got an update from her. Caitlin, what's going on?
My DeLorean says, it's a movie, we're watching a lame script. I don't think you watch a script. Just, you know, FYI.
Update from Caitlin Dietrich. In the meantime,
if you care to tell us what's wrong with this, if you want to break it down for us in the side chat, then that'd be awesome. Unless you're just fucking around, that's okay then. That's funny.
all ready to go. There we see Mark Bezos giving the thumbs up. There's Jeff in the background waving. What an experience to do with your siblings, your best friend. What a day for this crew. Gary, you know, we mentioned again that you have gone through the astronaut experience. You went through it. Actually, here we go. I think we've got Caitlin. Just a moment, Gary. Hold that thought. Caitlin, what's going on out there at Mission Control?
Hey everyone, so basically we've actually left Mission Control, the porch, and now we're at what we call Fallback 3. It's on basically the entrance to the road to space, and right here is where the astronauts drove by. They went all the way to the tower. You can probably see it there in the very distance. Here we just closed the hatch and everything's looking nominal. And basically what's going to happen is once the capsule is under parachutes, we have a convoy here right behind us that's going to be racing out to get that hatch open and celebrate after their victorious flight to space. So that's what we're all preparing for here after their 11-minute flight. So we're pretty excited.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Caitlin, for that update. Gary, so you, as we were just closing out that question, so on the last one, you actually were in the capsule, right? You and Audrey Powers, who we talked to a little bit earlier in the show, were in the capsule when they closed the hatch. What does it feel like at this moment?
It's actually quite...
Sorry, just one funny comment that came through. And Nave Cave says, it should be painty. Oh, man, that's hilarious. No one is in the warhead of that missile. Oh, okay. This person's obviously just taking the piss. Yeah, it should be painty. Oh, no, it needs to be round, Supreme Leader. Oh, okay. I love that movie so much.
It's a window that is so big, you can just turn your head and feel like you're floating right on the edge of the rocket. And then we've designed it that way so that when you are actually in space, you don't have to turn your head. You can look right out and have the sensation of actually being outside. And
it also kind of adds to the voluminous feel of the capsule. We said earlier it's 10 times the volume that Alan Shepard had on his flight, but it is big, and the windows make it look big. That light acoustic padding make it look big, and then once you're floating up there in space over the Kármán line in 0G, it kind of adds a third dimension to it.
Yes, we wanted that spaciousness. We wanted that sensation of floating. Really, if we were able to do it, we
Bob
would have made
Nodell's
the entire
Gyroscope. Good to see my friend. Let's get a thanks, Bob, in the side chat.
That is kind of a cool idea. Is that for the next iteration? You working on that? Is that in secret? All right, we're not going to release that information on our webcast, but stay tuned, everybody. All right, we're going to toss it back to Capcom. I understand that we've got a special message from Christina Bezos, sister to Jeff and Mark Bezos.
First Step Blue Control. On that note, Jeff and Mark, I have a special message from you from your sister Christina. Steve and I are so excited for this monumental launch. Jeff, this is something you've dreamed of your whole life, and your passion for space is infectious. Mark, you're the best champion when it comes to encouraging us in our adventures. As you buckle in, I'm reminded of when Jeff was Captain Kirk, Mark, you were Sulu, and I took the role of Lieutenant Uhura. We would battle Klingons while firing torpedoes, all the while dodging in and out of traffic and praying that we make it to our destination safely. Mark, be prepared to fire those torpedoes if ordered to do so. Now hurry up and get your asses back down here so I can give you a huge hug. We love you, and Godspeed, New Shepard.
And there it is, beautiful message from Christina. There is our Kent headquarters going nuts as they should. A big day for our whole Blue Origin team. It's early out there on the West Coast, but they wouldn't miss it for the world. Look at them. So amazing. Again, what a day for the entire Blue Origin team, for these crew members that are on board, for their families that are here, that have been supporting each one of these people's dreams to go to space. Just incredible. And, you know, we are sitting here at T-minus 15 minutes to go until launch. We are in a brief hold here. But why don't we meet Oliver Dayton, one of those astronauts, again, our first, very, very first paying customer, and soon to be the youngest person to travel to space at 18. Let's see Oliver.
I think it's the ultimate dream for so many people to go to space. I guess my first memories of space were Thunderbirds. I was a big fan of that. Watched every single episode there was. That was like the big thing with like the rockets and everything.
Oliver, is this your first look at the vehicle?
Yeah. It's so cool to go with this group because Wally is like one of the best pilots ever and has such an amazing life story. Of course, Jeff is one of the best businessmen ever and a great visionary. And Mark is a firefighter and has such an amazing track record over his life. I feel responsibility because I'm the youngest in space, and to get more people interested in space, and not even just space, but science, would be such an opportunity for me to do. When I touch down and I get out of the vehicle, I think I'll be just speechless.
Seems like a nice kid.
Now, Oliver also has his pilot's license and will be studying physics in college. And in just a bit, he'll officially be an astronaut. But Gary, did you talk to Oliver?
I did. I had an opportunity to meet him.
Did you start recruiting? Did you get on that? What are you doing sitting here? Come on, man. We were like that guy. Not only is he going to study physics, but also innovation. So we can only imagine what is in store for Oliver in the years to come. But I can tell you what is in store for him in the next couple of minutes here. He is going to go to space over the Kármán line, up 100 kilometers up the internationally recognized line of space, and he's going to come back a freshly minted astronaut. Cannot wait for that. Now, we are at T-minus 15 minutes to go until launch. We are in a brief hold here. And while we're in a hold, why don't we turn it over to New Shepard? And why?
Good to see you out there, second best Bob. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Probably holding because potentially high winds or something like that. Or maybe just a delay as well. Usually they have a fairly decent launch window because they're not trying to achieve orbit and they're not going to anywhere specifically. So yeah, it's most likely just something like that. Mike Raptor says, did you see my question? I didn't. Could you repost it? I'll keep my eyes open for it. Daryl, funnily enough, this telecast hasn't been as gushy as the Virgin Galactic one. It's actually been much more chill. The last one was pretty gushy. But yeah, this is much better. Oh, Mike Raptor, I see your question now. That's a great question. Mike Raptor asks, oh shit, where's it gone? The tip looks kind of blunt compared to many other rockets. My impression is that they're usually pointier. Does that depend on what it's used for? So generally speaking, it all comes down to what's called max Q, or the max Q load of a craft. So it depends on how fast it goes and where and what it's traveling through. So for example, this craft wouldn't be traveling anywhere near the velocity of, let's say, Falcon 9 or Falcon Heavy. So the profile of it is a little bit more forgiving. It's going very, very fast, but certainly slower than those spacecraft. So as it's going through the atmosphere, there's a lot more room for air movement around it. Even in this shape, though, if you were to look at the footprint of the top of the Falcon 9, you'd probably find it's roughly similar or close enough. Yeah, the pointier one, I suppose, would be Starship. And the funny thing is about Starship, they could have gotten more out of it if they made it a little bit rounder. But just for the sake of fun, Elon Musk wanted it to be pointy, or because of the movie The Dictator. He thought it would be hilarious. So even though it's losing it just a little bit of performance, not anything major, he decided to do that, which is pretty funny, I think. But yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, the Virgin craft looks amazing. Tim says, bet the Amazon employees are crapping themselves over the launch. More likely a lack of bathroom breaks. Yeah, that's a big problem. A lot of people would ask as well about the rockets. Why aren't they extremely pointy like Blackbird or something like that? The reason for it is, as you're traveling through the atmosphere, if there's a deviation in the tip of the rocket, let's say, and it's really, really pointy, it would burn up more easily. Basically, the way it would cut through the atmosphere, it would burn up quicker. So like if you have pointed ends on something, once there's essentially like how I could describe it as like a fog of plasma around that craft, you're more likely to lose angular points on that because it will be slamming into it as opposed to rolling over it in an aerodynamic way. Daryl says it looks circumcised. It sure does. Uwe Klose, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. It's not a rocket, it's one of my sex toys. That is true. That is true. I have nothing that looks like that. I have things that looks like you can put it into that, if that makes sense.
Thank you again, everybody, for joining us live.
Peck says it needs to be painted. I agree.
First human flight. We are at T-minus 15 minutes. We are in a brief hold here. This is okay. I mean, to say, Gary, you can appreciate this. We spent years designing this rocket, months and months designing the mission. And if we need to take a couple of minutes more to make sure that the team is aligned, that we're all set and sorted, that our astronauts are happy, that the weather both on the ground and up aloft is within green zones, then we're going to do that. How do you guys think about holds when you're in mission control? What is happening right now?
There's really two kinds of holds. There might be a hold while they investigate an anomaly, and very often that is not the case, though. There are sometimes holds just to catch up in the timeline. The thing about New Shepard that's distinct from orbital vehicles that you might have seen is that we don't need to launch at a precise time.
Now, they didn't mention it there, but I could just see they just started to do a rollback of the launch access tower, so it looked like it just moved.
And hold if there's any reason to, if there's a sensor reading that you want to investigate, or you just want to catch up in time. So that's why we tend to take.
Oh, that's a really good point. J.M. Claus says pointy would be extra structure for no good purpose. That's absolutely right. So when it's in a dome configuration, it equalizes the load across the whole thing. So that's why buildings that are domes tend to stay up longer than flat angular buildings. So such as the dome-shaped buildings, Romanesque dome-shaped buildings and stuff like that. So they're more structurally sound as well. So much like the front of an airplane, for example. Tony. I'm not reading that out.
All right, everybody. We are at T-minus 14 minutes and 5 seconds to go until launch here.
Dirty bastard.
Got goosebumps going already. Again, the adrenaline is building and the energy is building up here as the clock ticks down. And while our astronauts and our teams are going through the final checks with our crew member 7 and the launch team, let's
Hey, Frank, you got that right, my friend.
From space and how it changes you. And we're very fortunate here at Blue Origin to have several NASA astronauts that are working with us. And
James Claw also says descent dynamic pressure never gets high enough to require a point. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. They cut through the atmosphere pretty quickly and certainly not enough pressure. The pressure that we experience isn't really that high. So when a spacecraft reaches max Q, so that's the time of maximum aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle. It's the maximum amount of aerodynamic load that the vehicle can take safely anyway. It doesn't really get that high comparatively on Earth. So yeah, that's a really good point actually.
It makes you feel smaller.
You really do come back with a sense that the Earth is a closed environment. Everything we have here to eat, breathe, drink.
Oh Jesus!
Together.
And looking at the blackness of space.
He just said that the Earth is a closed environment. I guarantee, you mark my words, there's 90 of you watching right now. Mark my words, when Level Earth Observer or whatever gets a hold of this, I guarantee you that they're going to pick on the fact that he said that Earth is a closed system.
It's home to 7 billion of us. And I think every astronaut who goes to space is changed by it in some way.
Bob Nodell's gyroscope, I wouldn't waste a penny on flat earthers to go on that. They don't deserve it.
Flight. And as millions and millions of people begin to get this experience, I think the knowledge on Earth and a different understanding about our planet will gradually occur. The experience of something that changes who you are on the inside. It's very powerful. It is so memorable and so unique that people walk away speechless.
Incredible stuff. I hope one day I get to experience that. And I know obviously the 4 people that are on top of that rocket are about to do that. Gary, do you want to talk to us a little bit about today's flight profile, how they're getting up to space over the Kármán line and back home down here to West Texas?
Absolutely. So T-0 is the time that we...
Actually, Gary, if you don't mind standing by, I understand that we are ready for our go, no-go poll.
No. This is the flight director. New Shepard is go for launch. Booster, commence similar count.
Wilco flight.
Controller, strap UHF voice.
Enabling onboard power.
All right, thank you everybody for joining us again. Sorry about that. So we got so caught up in the flight profile and the perspectives from our NASA astronauts. We just caught the tail end there of the go no go poll. But I'm hearing that we're looking good for flight today. So let's get back into that flight profile, Gary, that you were telling us about here. Again, how are they getting up to space, over the Kármán line, the internationally recognized line of space, and then back down here to Earth in West Texas?
Okay, so T-0 is actually not the point of liftoff. It's when we send the command to start the engine. It lifts off about 7 seconds later. It will ascend for about 2.5 minutes. And then shut off. It goes through what we call MECO, main engine cutoff. About 20 seconds after that, the capsule will separate, and that's when the fastened seatbelt light on their panels will turn off, and they'll be able to float around the capsule for 3 to 4 minutes. During that time, both vehicles are still ascending, and they will ascend above 100 kilometers. The Kármán line today, we're We're headed for about 105, 106
Hey,
kilometers.
Mr. B, you haven't missed it, my friend.
And then start their descent. The capsule, the booster will actually re-enter first. It's more aerodynamic. Before it hits the atmosphere, it deploys wedge fins on top to stabilize it, and then uses those aft fins to steer back over the pad. Just over the pad, about 20,000 feet above, it deploys drag brakes to slow itself down, and then restarts its engines just seconds before hitting the ground to slow itself down to a soft landing. The landing legs will come out just seconds before landing. It might do one or two maneuvers.
That's a really good point. Paul Martokin says, how are you going to spend $28 million on a ticket, then have a scheduling conflict? What could be more important than spending $28 million and going to space? I was talking to Mrs. Demon about this last night, and she was saying that I guess in the scenario where somebody's a multi-billionaire running, multi-billion-dollar companies, that I guess it's the balance of whether you need to do something that could potentially make you billions of dollars, but realistically, I think it could wait a day, right? Or even a few hours. But that's a good question. It might have been done intentionally to give this kid a chance to fly, which is pretty cool too. I think, is the kid's dad the guy who bought the ticket? I know the kid's dad's a millionaire, but I'm not sure if it was his dad that bought it. But
miles an hour. It's a really nice, soft landing. And again, Gary, we confirmed we are go for launch for first human flight on New Shepard. My goodness, I mean, you've been waiting for this day for 17 years since you joined Blue Origin. What are you feeling right now, Gary?
It's still hard to believe that it's actually here. I don't know if it's set in yet, but the main thing I'm feeling is I'm thinking about the entire team, past and present, the hundreds and hundreds of people that have worked on the New Shepard program, and what this must mean to them.
Absolutely. It's we talked about the team here. It's a lean and mean team, obviously, but each one of those people has contributed so much to this program. It's again a special shout out to all of our Blue Origin team members watching around the world. Now, for the others that are watching around the world, if you want to experience space flight for yourself, if you want to do what Jeff and Mark...
Hey, Frick Sauce, my friend, doing really well, buddy. Hope you're doing good.
Send us an email at astronauts@blueorigin.com. We're open for ticket sales to send you all to space. What just an incredible, incredible day. And, we're so lucky to have this particular crew on board today, Gary. And I feel like, not only do we have this beautiful story about...
Good to see you, David Coombs. Hope you're doing well, my buddy.
...going up, and Wally and Oliver, soon to be the oldest and the youngest astronauts who have ever flown into space. Oliver, that's representing our international friends out there, taking the Dutch flag to space, and then again Wally, who has been thinking about going to space, well, her entire life, but certainly since the 1960s, and she was part of that program that got canceled, and she just kept fighting until recently we said, hey, Wally, why don't you join us for this first crew? And I can only imagine our future customers that are going to go on board. They're going to represent the world. They're going to represent many different backgrounds, and we certainly look forward to that. As we mentioned, we're going to have 2 more flights in 2021 for a total of 3, and again, many more to come in the future. And that is just fantastic. And I can imagine, again, as you were building the system.
Really interesting results so far on the poll. I ended the last one because I forgot that I could add another option to see. Because it was interesting to see, because SpaceX hasn't been as much in the media as these other 2 companies. So it's interesting to see people's views on Blue Origin and Virgin versus SpaceX. So yeah, it's looking like SpaceX so far. If it was my choice, it would go SpaceX, Blue Origin, then Virgin. I love all 3. I think they're amazing, but just because I like the straight up and down type rocket, you know what I'm saying? That's to me, that's what I would want to go on. If I had a choice between Blue Origin and Virgin, I'd pick Blue Origin. If I had a choice between all 3, I'd pick SpaceX, obviously, because I'd love to go into orbit. That'd be amazing. All right,
we are 2 minus 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go until launch.
Let me
What
see
an
those high
incredible
fives in
moment.
the
Let's
side
check
chat. Don't
out
leave me hanging.
New Shepard on the pad here. We are awaiting. The rocket is going to go into some last-minute checks on the vehicle. At T-minus 2 minutes is when the vehicle. We throw the show over to her. It's all on her. It's an autonomous vehicle.
Oh, my
but Gary,
eyes
do
are
you want to
killing me.
talk to us about what are some of those last-minute checks that the vehicle is going through? And that we're going to see, especially on our screen.
I bet Mrs. Demon just heard me saying, "Oh, my eyes are killing me." The minute I go out there, she'll be like, "Can I give you your eye drop?" I have to put an eye drop every day. And I fucking hate it.
Through an automated checklist.
Burns.
You'll see a couple of things. There will be things that you don't see, such as sensor checks, pressure checks on the tanks, radio checks. All hundreds and hundreds of different checks will be stepped through in this checklist. But what you will see is the hydraulic system spooling up, which will wiggle the engine gimbal as well as the aft fins. They're not only wiggling those surfaces, but they're making sure that there's no stick.
Just while we're waiting for the last few minutes countdown, there's almost 100 people watching now. Let me know in the side chat, where in the world are you watching this from?
As Gary said, you don't get to see all of those last-minute checks, but we certainly get to see the aft fins. As Gary mentioned, those are the fins at the base of the vehicle. There are 4 of those. Obviously, they help direct the rocket both up and down. And then the engine will gimbal. That is our BE3 engine. The Blue Engine 3, 110,000 pounds of thrust. Liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen are what are the propellants in the engine. It's not only a powerful and also throttleable engine. The throttle, I'll talk about the throttleability just here for a second. We throttle the engine back as it comes back to land, and that's what creates a nice soft landing, because as it comes in, of course, it's not filled with all the propellant that it had on the way back up. So if we throttle it back, kind of like an airplane, it comes in for a nice, soft landing. And, you know, what a trip to space and back. Again, this vehicle.
What a great mix of people. Hey, Tommy Granvall, good to see you, my friend. Got people in sunny Berkshire. Yeah, I heard the weather's amazing over there. Bob Nodell's Gyroscope's down in Galway. Mr. Mallart's over by there in Chicago. Oh man, it's such a good mix of people. Good to see you all. Southern Louisiana. I saw, who did I see up there? OG Goblins in New Jersey. Anyway, and Norwegians in the house. Arizonans in the house. Good to see you all. What an amazing mix of people. You're all awesome. Except for the flat earthers watching. You suck. Nah, not really. Most of you are pretty cool. Alright, minute and a half to go, folks. Hey, Rip Tickler, good to see you, buddy.
Ariane, when that engine gimbal check occurs and that engine swings, they should actually be able to feel it in the cabin, because it'll sway the stack back and forth.
There go the aft fin checks.
Hey, Mario, how you doing, buddy?
There you see the engine gimbal
Tony's
check
in the
just
Isle of Wight.
peeking out
I've got
at
an
the base
uncle in
of
the
the
Isle of Wight.
rocket.
Thanks, Freak Sauce. Oh, Netherlands, awesome,
All right,
Frank.
here we go,
One of your
everybody.
countrymen on
Thousands
the,
of people
on the
contributed
flight.
years
Alright,
to
guys,
this
half a minute
historic
to go.
moment.
I'm gonna shut up.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time
gonna
for Blue
switch the
Origin's
screen.
first human flight. Godspeed, first crew of New Shepard. Let's light this candle.
Let's do this. Going to space on a penis. Let's do it.
T-minus 16, guidance internal. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Command engine start. 2, 1.
Here we go.
Ignition. We have liftoff. Shepard's cleared the tower.
And New Shepard has cleared the tower on her way to space with our first human crew. Go, Jeff. Go, Mark. Go, Wally. Go, Oliver. You are going to space.
5,000 feet.
about to pass through max Q, maximum dynamic pressure. That was when the stresses on the vehicle are at their maximum.
Max Q.
Max Q is confirmed. Beautiful burn on that BE3 engine. Liquid hydrogen
Mach 1.
and liquid oxygen as the propellant. It's a nice, not just clean in terms of beautifully performing, but what comes out of it, it's steam, right? Whew. To see the glow of the engine underneath the rocket, just under our shoulders, and to know that we've got a crew that is going to space, it just feels different, doesn't it, Gary?
It is totally different.
All right, you can follow along, of course, the speedometer in the bottom left, the altimeter in the middle of the screen there. So far appears to be a nominal flight. All right, coming up here on MECO, main engine cutoff. That will be followed shortly by separation. And at that point, after separation, we're gonna let the astronauts unbuckle and take in the freedoms of zero G. There is MECO, main engine cutoff.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful shot down
Amazing.
the New Shepard rocket. Look at that view. Unreal. Awaiting separation here. And here we are. You can start to see, stand by. You're going to see the separation of the capsule from the booster itself.
So you have to look out the window. Holy kid God. Oh, wow. Don't forget to get upside down.
And there we go. Our astronauts have passed the Kármán line at about 328,000 feet, continuing their ascent.
Welcome to space, folks.
You see the two vehicles there. When the speed hits zero, you know that they've hit apogee, their maximum altitude, and you hear they're having quite an experience.
I don't know where all my instincts are from. Okay, I'm gonna start back. Okay. I'm here to help. Yep. Got it this time. Yeah, you just have to wait for it. You want the Skittle. Oh, yeah.
Sorry about that. I was typing something in the wrong screen. My bad.
Yeah!
1 minute warning. 1 minute warning.
Go. Oh, sorry. Let's try again. Oh, so good.
Get that one?
Got it. Let's see if I can see the boost. Yeah. A little bit. I cannot. Oh, wow. You got to take a moment to do that. Okay, get in. We got to get in. The roll.
Oh, fantastic. Look at this. It's dark up here.
Oh, wow. Everybody in?
First step, status check. Astronaut Oliver,
Oh, wow. Oliver, status check. Oh, sorry.
Blue Control, Oliver, status perfect. In seat.
Copy, astronaut Wally.
Wally.
Blue Control, Wally is in seat.
Copy, astronaut demo.
Astronaut demo, right by seat.
Copy, astronaut Bezos. Copy.
Thank you again, everybody, for joining us live for our first human flight on New Shepard. So far, a nominal flight. Our booster is about to return to its landing pad. There we see engine relights. The sonic boom.
What a beautiful landing. My favorite bit.
And booster touchdown. Welcome back, New Shepard. A beautiful rocket that provided a beautiful flight to space.
First up, your booster has landed.
Booster landed. Blue Control, Bezos. That's great to hear about the booster.
And there it is, our crew capsule with our 4 crew members on board.
You have a very happy crew up here, I want you to know. Oh yeah, I see blue. I see the big barn.
Stand by drogues. Stand by drogues. Stand by main. Stand by main.
Oh, so far, a nominal flight. Here comes the crew capsule back from space. The drogues deployed. Here are the mains out, reefing and coming to full inflation. Our rocket went over Mach 3. And now they're coming floating back down at just about 15 or 16 miles an hour, about to join us home. Back here in West Texas after having gone over the Kármán line, the internationally recognized line of space. The world's newest astronauts. Gary, how you holding up, friend?
I am speechless.
Wow. And those big, beautiful windows.
We've just got about a minute and a half of floating before the activation of the skirt jet for a soft touchdown. At this point, there are sensors on board that are detecting how high they are above the ground, multiple sensors. And just 6 feet above the ground, that cushion of air will puff, and they will have a soft touchdown, almost like just sitting in a chair. But I'm sure their adrenaline is pumping now.
And touchdown. Welcome back, New Shepard's first human crew. What a flight.
Welcome back to Earth, first step. Congratulations to all of you.
That's awesome.
Oh, what a day, what a day.
Very happy group of people on this capsule. We're so grateful to everybody who made this possible. Thank you.
Blue Control, Oliver, thank you so much for everyone there. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Copy first step. You have a very happy Capcom here as well. Let's do a status check. Astronaut Oliver.
Blue Control, astronaut Oliver, status correct.
Copy. Astronaut. Copy. Astronaut Demo.
Astronaut Demo, I am unbelievably good.
Copy.
Blue Control, Bezos, best day ever.
Copy, everyone. Go ahead and remain in your seats. Crew member 7 is on their way. Shortly, you will hear the capsule off-gassing.
Did anybody have to or altitude or altitude? I didn't. Yeah. No, they thought they did. We'll find out. It's okay. I had my main mission was accomplished. I didn't kick anyone. That was only about 5 minutes. Yeah.
First up, Blue Control, your apogee was 351,210 feet.
Awesome.
Blue Control, could you say that in meters? Wally, that was incredible. It was. I was thinking it would be more jerky, and it wasn't. No, I was the helicopters. I was surprised at how easy zero-G was. Yeah, it felt very, like, remarkably natural. It did. It's like swimming. Yeah. Yeah, it's not. It's weird. It actually feels good. It felt. There it goes.
Well, what a day. You can see our the world's newest minted astronauts there on board discussing their incredible flight of a lifetime up to space and back. Wow. Our team is now preparing landing safety operations. The recovery crew has already, minutes ago, has left the barn there to go open the hatch. You can see them there. They're arriving at the capsule in the Rivians. You can actually also see that the parachutes fell very close to the capsule. It means that there's not much wind out there. It was a beautiful, beautiful day. Not too shabby, Gary. What do you think?
No, it was picture perfect. And it...
Very well said there, Microraptor. Absolutely right.
...it so quickly. They start moving even before it landed based on the prediction of landing. We used weather balloons that we launched throughout the morning, and that gives us a very good idea of where it will land, which is within 1,000 feet. What you're seeing that they're doing right now is Kevin Sprogue, crew member 7, is just making sure everybody is okay and gives them a thumbs up.
So I guess technically for about 5 minutes there, Jeff Bezos was not the richest man on Earth. Technically, because he wasn't on Earth.
That the astronauts not get out themselves so that we can ground the vehicle of static charge, which can be quite strong.
Now he has the accolade of being able to say that he was both the smartest man on Earth, the richest man on Earth and the richest man in space on the same day.
Astronauts that are on board there, again, Jeff Bezos, Mark Bezos, Wally Funk, and Oliver Damon. What an incredible day. You heard them on the audio. Best day ever. I mean,
That's a really good question there from SBLM27 says, why didn't they have chase vehicles out there already? So they would have had a fairly large landing target area. The reason for that is because it's a non-controlled, non-propulsive landing. So because it's coming down with the parachutes, the wind could essentially take it, around a huge area pretty surprisingly, actually, over quite a large distance with the wind. So it wouldn't be safe to have the chase vehicles too close to it, but they definitely would have been close enough to be able to get there within, you know, a minute or so, which would be fairly standard. In fact, some of the water landings that are done, it can take a long time before the ships get out there to recover them. That's a really good question.
Parachute line in front of the hatch.
Daryl.
Okay, take the side, take the side. Help on the bush.
They're just moving one of the main parachute lines to make sure it doesn't snag the hatch when it opens.
And there's Jeff. Thumbs up.
CC safe, Jimmy.
You heard there, the CC is safe.
No, I got it. No, it's not open for my side.
Confirm. Okay, go. You can go live. Go to the camera.
Jimmy! Jimmy!
Gary, the architect of New Shepard, congratulations to you, man.
Congratulations.
Give me a
to you,
hug. This is just.
Congratulations, Gary.
Ugh.
Make out.
What a day.
So childish.
Again, thank you everybody for joining us live for our first human flight of New Shepard. Our 4 astronauts went to space and back, topping over 350,000 feet, well over 100 kilometers. They've come back down safely. We're just waiting here for egress. Our crew is going to get out of the capsule and meet their families back here on the ground. Of course, their families that have provided so much support since they were little kids and dreamt of this to this day and this moment.
Let me know when everybody's there.
Timo, that's true.
Get in here, Mark. All right, Caitlin, you ready? Family, are we ready?
Imagine if someone just forgot the key to open it. Like, shit, I left it in space. Oh, no worries, SPLM, my pleasure, man. That's just a guess for me, by the way.
Oliver! Congratulations, congratulations. Your dad has been around. Oh my God. Your dad is great. Oh, congratulations. You gotta get up there, sweetheart. Oh my God, it was so great.
What a day again.
Gregory Lawler says, whoop-de-doo, not the first time people have been in space. It is the first time that 4 untrained astronauts, people who are just regular people in some respects, have been able to go to space as tourists without the aid of pilots or any specifically trained crew. And, you know, the first essentially straight up style rocket that can bring everyday normal people to space, including a lady in her 80s. I would say that's pretty good achievement there.
You know, this, I told you she was probably going to do a summer, cartwheel as she came out of that capsule. What an incredible, incredible day. Let's just capture a couple more moments of this. Again, space flight, so much engineering, so much objective, hard engineering, technical.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. First, technically commercial space flight as well, which is pretty cool.
There's such an incredible...
The oldest woman in space, the oldest person to go to space, and the youngest person to go to space on the one flight's pretty cool too.
This better than anybody else. Again, congratulations, Gary.
Thank you, Ariane. And congratulations to the entire Blue Origin team.
So it was all controlled by a computer, microraptor,
to design a
reactionary sensors and
like
things
this
like that.
that is so safe that anybody can get on board.
From Wally Funk, who today became the world oldest astronaut at 82,
Legend.
to Oliver Damon, who became the world's youngest astronaut at 18. He joins us from the Netherlands. Again, big shout out to our viewers in the Netherlands. Congratulations. You should be very, very, very...
You think Jeff Bezos is an ordinary person? That's why I said immediately after ordinary person, I said basically an ordinary person, as in not a trained astronaut.
With his future, I can only imagine. You heard him in the video. You know, he just wants to spread the love, spread the message. I can't wait.
Like,
to
I know
hear
a lot
their
of people out
impressions
there have a massive hate boner for Jeff Bezos. I'm no fan of Jeff Bezos. I will just say that's a fair point. I have no love for Jeff Bezos, but it's still a pretty epic thing. Vishanti says, anybody being rich ass folks. Well, that would have been the exact same thing to do with an airline flight about 40 years ago, right? So only the very, very wealthy could go on an airline flight. Now I'm about to jump on one and fly halfway around the globe for $1,000. So I get people's issues with these kind of things, the money involved and things like that, but we have to start somewhere. It's just the way it is. The wealthy always get the dibs. We may say that's unfair, and that's fine. I get that, but it has to start somewhere. And this is the first step on the ladder, basically. So again, just bearing in mind that, 50, 60 years ago, to go on a jetliner or an airliner, you would have had to have been a very, very, very wealthy person to be able to afford to do that. Whereas nowadays, you can literally travel the whole way around the earth, the whole way around the planet for, $2,000 if you were to fly from, say, Australia to Europe, and then Europe to the US, and then back over to Australia again. So I get it. I get that people don't like millionaires and billionaires and stuff like that, but that's just the way it is right now.
A beautiful moment there.
Thank you.
For a woman who was denied.
Gregory, to be fair now, man, like, you're nitpicking here, right? Obviously, he meant the first commercial human space flight. Come on, let's not be silly now.
Oliver Damon, you saw him earlier giving his father a big hug. What a moment. You saw the first hug when Jeff came out of the capsule to his mother, Jackie, followed by his father, Mike. I mean, again, what a day. What a day. To the thousands and thousands of members of Team Blue, you contributed to today as well. I know you were all hugging it out back in Kent, Washington, at our headquarters near Seattle, sending you guys a lot of love from down here in West Texas. What a moment.
I imagine. Oh, look at this girl. Ella!
I mean, granted, Gary, we weren't in the capsule, but
David, I'm with you on that one, my friend. Don't get me wrong. His business practices, especially how his staff are treated, horrific. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. But I think it's fair to say that an all or nothing approach to things like this is probably not the best way to go with these. The fact of the matter is, this is a huge leap forward in terms of accessible space flight for, normal people. Yeah, fair enough. Not tomorrow. None of us are going to be able to go and buy a ticket on that tomorrow. There's no question about it. But this is what may allow us to be able to do it in the future. Just like the airline flights. Like what Joe Whip said here is, when I was a kid in the 60s, my parents used to tell me that plane flights were for rich people. Men used to wear suits on flights too. That's absolutely true. They used to be able to smoke on those planes too, which is pretty funny as well.
with the very small team at the time at Blue.
Vishanti says the cost of a flight in 1914, $400. Now adjust that for inflation.
When I joined Blue Origin, there were only 20 of us in a warehouse.
And that was an airplane flight, not going to space. Let's,
Huge leap of faith.
I mean, you can buy a Toyota Camry for $1,000. It'll do the exact same thing as a Ferrari and get you from A to B, but it won't be as fun and it won't be as expensive, that's for sure.
A lot there, but I can remember when I joined the team and we were talking about the moment, the day.
B8 says, my sister and I worked for Amazon for 3 days and said, fuck this, and walked out. Yeah, I know a lot of people. That did that. There's a big Amazon center in my hometown, and I know a ton of people that work there, and they said the conditions were awful. They were just treated like machines, and it sucks. It's fucking terrible. It really, really is. I don't think I ever have actually ordered anything from Amazon, but yeah, it's a good point.
And that's what led us to today. To know that we could do this safely, and to give people the experience of a lifetime. And I think based on what we see there, I think job well done, sir. Job well done.
And not only did we do it today, we can do it again and again and again and again.
Precisely. Absolutely love it. That was amazing. Everybody, I want to thank you all for joining us from around the world for today's Blue Origin historic first human flight. It's been a moment for the ages, and guess what?
That was pretty epic. Absolutely epic. David Coombs, really good point, says it'll be because of these people, SpaceX, Virgin, and Blue Origin, that will help open up space for ordinary people eventually. Yeah, that's exactly my point. It's like anything. I mean, like, for example, when you have like I don't know, an iPhone, for example, like they're much more like smartphones and things like that are much more accessible to the average person. But back in the day, it would have been cheaper. Vishanti says Interweb says Chicago to Phoenix in the 50s cost adjusted 1,168. Yeah, again, that's from Chicago to Phoenix though, not to space. Do you know what I mean? There's like, respectfully, there's a massive difference between flying from one city to another and flying to space, basically. I'm not going to argue with you about it. I don't want to have a fight with you about it. We may disagree on whether or not this is a good thing or a bad thing, but the reality is that spaceflight is extremely expensive, much more expensive and more complex than flying on an average airliner, basically. So yeah. It's a totally different thing. It's a totally different world. And again, like we may agree or disagree on whether or not it's worth it or whether or not the money could be used elsewhere. I've seen that as an argument too, that for all of the money that's being spent on space tourism, would it not be better spent elsewhere? Yeah, perhaps. Absolutely. There are a lot of things that can be fixed with that money. You know what I mean? Joe Whip says that was a ton of money when people made $4,000 a year. That's a fucking good point, actually. Yeah. So like, even then, like if a flight in, so let's say in the 50s, if a flight was $1,200 and you made $4,000 a year, then you'd be looking at a quarter of your yearly salary. It still wouldn't equate to the cost of going on one of these flights right now, obviously, because it's like literally the first one. So, you couldn't expect to go on a flight back then for that money. But anyway, yeah. Oh yeah, no, I know it's not an argument, Vishanti. I'm just saying that like it seems a bit, there's no point in going too deep into it. There's reasons why it's expensive. Because it's all brand new. It's all brand spanking new. So obviously it's going to cost a lot of money. Also, the other thing is, I don't know which airliners in particular you're talking about there, which aircraft, how many people were on board those aircraft. So like if, let's say it was 100-seater aircraft at, $2,000 a head, for argument's sake, adjusted for inflation, that's $200,000. There you go. Something like that. It's like, they're different things. So it's like apples and oranges really, but it just goes to the point that it is extremely expensive. Even adjusted for inflation, you have to bear in mind that people earned a lot less money back then too. Orders of magnitude less. But again, it's just apples and oranges. It's literally two totally different things. So there's no point in us trying to draw lines between those things. It's just an example. Gregory says, that is a hell of a lot of VAT. Yeah, it is. That's a very good point. That's another good thing. Actually, I didn't actually think of that. David says that the insurance for that trip was probably crazy money. That's actually, I didn't even factor that in. I wonder if, it's a good question now. I need to figure this out because you know what? It would probably be too long to even try to figure it out. Is the fuel cost to fly that to space more or less than like an airliner flight from Perth to London, which is the world's longest airline flight, which is not going at the moment because of COVID. But so depending on the rocket, obviously, so if it's a liquid oxygen based rocket, then or liquid methane, it would be a lot cheaper than kerosene, for example, that's used in an airplane. So it would actually technically be cheaper in fuel costs to go to space, I would assume. I don't know, obviously, but John Eagle says, how many frequent flyers would you get? You'd get a lot, man. You'd get a shit ton. Have you got a special insurance for... Oh, yeah, you'd have to. You'd have to. That's a good point, too. Gregory Lawler says, I doubt you could get insurance once you left Earth. That's a good point. Where would insurance companies put the boundary on where you're insured to? It's interesting that even has to become a question nowadays. How do you get insured in space? I found it hard to find insurance in Ireland on my fucking motorcycle because it's a vintage. So it's like, how do you get insured in space? That's a really, really, really good point. Let me see. David Coombs says, the only way I got to fly 50 years ago was by joining the RAF. No way I could afford to fly on the wages I earned as an apprentice. Yeah, apprentice wages are a joke as well, even today. Oh, hydrogen, oxygen fuel. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. But yeah, it's a really interesting thing to look at, though. Peck says, is Perth to London further or longer than Sydney to LA? I believe it is. My understanding is that the Perth to London flight was the longest flight. Longest commercial flight, I should say. Let's have a look. I'll find out for you. What's the world's longest flight? Oh, wait, actually, this says the world's longest flight is Qatar Airlines Auckland to Doha. So that must have knocked the Perth to London one off the top. Let's have a look here. All right, let's see. So I think that's a Qantas. I think it's a Qantas one. So the Perth to London to Sydney, London to Sydney nonstop was one of them. That was 20 hours. A demonstration flight was flown from Hong Kong to London nonstop, which was 22 hours and 42 minutes. Holy shit. So yeah, maybe it wasn't Perth to London. That's what I thought. Okay, so the longest flight currently is so this is okay, yeah, here's the definitive list. So yeah, the Perth one was knocked off the top. So longest flight currently is New York JFK to Singapore, which is 15,349 kilometers. Auckland to Doha is 14,535 kilometers, and Perth to London Heathrow is a mere 40 kilometers less than that. Then Auckland to Dubai, Los Angeles, Singapore, Houston to Sydney. I can't see the one that you were talking about there. Let's have a look here. Anyway, yeah, so it's just interesting, just a little side thing. But yeah, that's a pretty good question. Vishanti, have a great day. Oh, I will enjoy the Flurf Tears. That's what we should actually try to gather all the Flurf Tears and run a rocket on it to go up and prove that the Earth is a globe. Not that it needs any more proving than it already has. But I love these little mathematical arguments, by the way. So if anybody can measure how much fuel cost would have been involved based on, like, you know, average cost, because obviously they probably get the fuel cheaper, right? They obviously have some ways. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you all so much for joining me tonight. It was a lot of fun, momentous occasion. Again, though, I do understand that a lot of people have issues with Jeff Bezos, myself included. I want to make that abundantly clear. And not that I'm trying to, like, you know, pacify anybody. That's, you guys know I don't do that, but I have a lot of issues with his business practices. But then at the same time, I can't turn a blind eye to the good things like this, in my opinion. Now, a lot of people say, oh, it's just self-serving. And Yeah, probably right. I would say a lot of it is self-serving, but for the most part, I think it was overall a really great occasion, really cool thing to do, and great to be able to watch it live and be a part of it. And before I go, I want to wish a lot of luck tomorrow to you, Peck. I hope everything goes well. And once you're up and around and feeling better, you just hit me up, my friend, and let me know. Thank you so much, Gregory Lawler. I really appreciate it, man. And I love having a bounce off you guys. It's so much fun. I love being challenged and fucking arguing with you lovely people. But anyway, have a great day, my friends. Talk to you all tomorrow. I have a video maybe coming out tonight, my time. Although, no, it's a bit late. So tomorrow morning. And I know you guys are going to enjoy it. Have a great evening. Sláinte.